Yo guys, Nightalize here with another video, and today we have another review for Super Mario RPG, Super Mario RPG Remake, whatever you want to call it. This game I actually finished in a single sitting on stream. It was a challenge I wanted to do, and it took about 16 hours, but we're going to talk about the game, my thoughts, and just a little quick discussion about it. When I was streaming it, I continued to mention in the chat, like, oh, this game is really charming, this is, like, really cute, oh, this moment's, like, you know, heartwarming and whatever, and I didn't really expect that, and that comes from the characters, and mostly that comes from Mallow, and so Mallow, I honestly feel like, is the main character of this game. Geno is also, you know, a main character. His kind of, like, whole goal is the end goal of the game as well, but Mallow kind of takes that spot and has his own little character arc, and I don't know why people hype up Geno when he is the most flat character on the team. And I know he's supposed to be, you know, good, like, hard-ass, cool guy, strong dude, but, like, Mallow's the best. Mallow is so charming. He has, like, this little character arc in the story about himself, and that's, like, the biggest kind of emotional payback with the game, which is a little issue, is that there's not that much, like, emotion and, like, crazy, like, sad moments like a Final Fantasy kind of has, but Mallow does have this little arc that is pretty well done, I think, personally, and that arc kind of carries you through the most of the game. So from the beginning to about the 80% point, kept me engaged the whole time. You feel like a kid again, man. It's a Nintendo game, it's a Square Enix game. You can feel its Nintendo, like, pool on it. It's, like, super charming, like I continue to say. It's just super wacky and fun, and I think that's, like, the greatest thing about the game, is that if you're gonna go in and expect, like, a really heartfelt, like, crazy JRPG type thing, then don't expect that. Expect to have that Nintendo charm, and go in expecting this really fun combat that will just carry you throughout the game with these characters and these enemies that it just lets you have a good time, man. Like, each area was unique. It was all different. Some utilized more than others, which is kind of an issue as well. Some areas kind of are boring. Like, you're there for a little bit, and you're like, okay, next area already. And it flip-flops back and forth between which areas are good and which areas are not. And the main areas in the game that you do fight the main bosses and do get the new characters for your team, they are all super interesting. There's a halfway point of the game that you meet Booster, and that whole little section is just super fun and just stupid, and I love that part specifically. And then the later half as well with the Mallow and whatever is also a great time. Like I said, there's some parts in between that are a little slow, but that's just how it goes with games. But relatively, it was paced very well. I did hear that it was shortened down, even with some of the extra content they added. A lot of the quality of life features that they have just speed up everything, like the fast travel, or the menu system is just super convenient, or the combat is super convenient. Like, especially the combat, when you lose someone on your team, they'll get instantly replaced with someone who's alive. Same thing with switching. If a team member dies and you want to switch to a new character that's alive and you switch, you still have that turn with that character, and that just makes it, once again, so nice, and just saves time and saves dying and saves restarting. And the game has autosave and it has manual save points, and it's like an old Square Enix JRPG, but with every single quality of life convenient idea slash, you know, just thing in the game that you would want to save the extra hours and hours of dying and restarting. And so along with all that, there's extra content. There's not too much extra content of what I've heard, but there are team attacks, and the triple team attacks are with each different team of 3, you can do a different team attack, and that will have a different ability or do different statuses to the enemy or yourself, and that's really cool. And they all have these, like, super beautiful, like, pre-rendered CG cutscenes. Along with, in the game, there also are these 3D beautiful pre-rendered cutscenes that do happen throughout. They're not super common, but they're frequent enough that whenever they do happen, you're like, oh wow, this is really nice, this is very nice, you know, pretty to look at. And so along with that as well, there is the extra content, which there's some boss fights that you can redo, and then there's Kulex, and Kulex is a secret boss that you can do once you beat the game, and they remade him twice. So you can fight him once, and it's the 2D version, right? And then you fight him again, and it's a 3D version with a new remix of the FF4 music that they use for the boss fight. And then Kulex, of course, is in 3D, and once again, also, he has even more health than his first fight. So they do have that little extra tidbit, which is really, really good, and the music is good. And it's a hard boss. It's not easy. I did not complete it, but it is in the game. And that also contributes to the game itself being pretty well balanced. For me, I struggled a little bit at certain parts. Like I said, I played it in a single stream, so I was trying to finish it. in a nice pace, not, speed through it, but still not spend a million minutes on encounters that are in the game. So there were some sections where I was behind by like 2 or 3 levels. However, the game handles that well, and you can still get around things with the action gauge and with timing your blocks correct and timing your attacks correct. It all still works out pretty damn well, which once again, like I said, makes it so you don't have to grind, makes it so it's fun and engaging throughout the whole time, and makes it so that if you're at the end of the game and you're having issues, you can still manage to do shit with just timing your attacks correctly. But along with all that other great stuff about the game, I guess my cons really be like what I said already, is just there's not really any huge emotional moments. Once again, it's not this super deep story. It's pretty base level with some things here and there, but that's not really an issue. Like, going into this game, I didn't expect that. It's Mario. A Nintendo Mario game really can only do so much, but the thing with this game is that it's probably one of the Mario games that does the most. Like, it does the most in-depth story, emotional story that a Mario game has done for me in a while that I remember, and I know it doesn't say a lot, but at the same time, it still says a little bit. And so along with all that, the action gauge time is also kind of weird. I do really enjoy it, and that can save your ass many times in battle, but like when you're using it, there's an exclamation point that pops up, and with that exclamation point, you're supposed to press, A or B, and when you press it, most of the time it works, and most of the time you know the timing in your head for the attacks, or you know the timing in your head for the blocks, so you don't actually have to wait for the exclamation point. However, later in the game, there's some attacks that just don't work, and maybe that's just me being stupid, but you fight the Axum Rangers, and oh my god, half of their attacks were not blocked, and I was pressing them before the exclamation, during it, and I fought them so many times. It was a pain in the ass, and it still didn't work. So I don't know what the problem is there. I think it's just me being dumb, but there are moments throughout the game where I was a little confused about when to press the button with certain attacks, specifically also for one of Mallow's attacks. So that's not, once again, really something that will take me away from the game experience other than just personal issues. The new graphics looks amazing. The pre-rendered cutscenes they have look amazing. The difficulty's not too bad. The extra content's great. And all in all, it's worth it. I think it's worth the $60. I think I could squeeze a solid 20 hours out of the game. Probably even more if I wasn't rushing, right? If I wanted to do the monster list that it has a whole log of monsters that you can do. I missed out on a couple mini games. There's side quests. I didn't even touch on that. There's side quests in the game that I didn't even barely scratch the surface on that. So I feel like you could pretty much put a solid 20 hours into the game and get the 100%, maybe even probably more time if it's the first time you're playing it, which that's what it was for me. So I think the game's great. I really recommend it. It's super charming. If you love Mario, if you like Nintendo, check it out. If you want something that's more emotional and deep, then maybe don't check it out. Maybe, try to get it on sale or borrow it from somebody, but check out some gameplay. It's super fun. If that's what you want, then go ahead. It's like the Mario and Luigi Bowser games that were on the DS, so if you like those, maybe check it out as well. But hey, Mallow for Smash, baby. Give me Mallow and Smash! I'll give the game a 9.1. I loved it. See ya.